welcome to a Year 12 Microeconomics Multiple Choice walkthrough, a great opportunity to revise, test your definitions, check if you really know the stuff that you've been working on. Central purpose of economic activity, I guess, is talking about the economic problem. So having unlimited wants, limited needs, and how best to allocate those resources, how to produce, for whom to produce, what to produce. Ultimately, we have that problem and we want to maximize the utility that we can possibly gain given the limited resources. So we don't really want to save resources because we do want to spend money on it, but so we do want to use them because we have needs and because we have wants, but we need to be mindful of how they are given. So we want to satisfy ultimately the needs and the wants. Positive externalities, so these are the things that cause your demand curve to split if they're in a consumption. So your MSB would be higher than your MPB. The difference between here would be your MEB, which is your positive externality in consumption. They could also affect the supply, so that would cause your social cost to be lower than your private cost. So I'm looking for when the individual, firm or consumer, by consuming or producing the good, causes positive impacts on other people. Private benefits are less than the social benefits, yeah. If your individuals benefit, but some benefits are accrued to other people, the total benefit, the social benefit, is greater than the private benefit, so therefore the private benefit is smaller. When demand is income inelastic, okay, that means that your demand curve is relatively steeper, kind of. Some assumptions have been made there. The percentage change in... Oh, I got tricked. Hands down, I got tricked. This is about income elasticity. I'm not going to draw a demand curve. Income elasticity is inelastic. We're talking about necessities. We're talking about normal goods, necessities that have a YED between 0 and 1. So I'm looking for a YED between 0 and 1. And so just write out the YED equation: percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in income. If that's between 0 and 1, I can only get that if this quantity demanded thing is a smaller number than this one. So I need the percentage change in demand to be lower than the income, or in other words, the income to be greater than what's changing in the other one. Which of the following is an economic resource: land, labor, capital, enterprise? Demand curve for chicken. Right, so this is drawn assuming all else constant. So assuming income's a constant, but the only thing it doesn't assume constant is price, because price is allowed to change for all of these values. So I'm looking for that as the answer. Determinant of the PES. So I'm looking for things that affect like the gradient. For example, S1 turning into S2. So I'm looking for things like how easy is it to store the good, how fast can you train people, how expensive it is to train people, or spare capacity. If you have already the infrastructure available in your company and you're just waiting for a reason to supply, then you're ready to supply, and you can supply very easily if there's a change in the price, so your PES would be more elastic. Government intervention can lead to an increase in welfare, okay, if it helped to progress towards the social optimum. Yes, I mean, this is kind of weirdly worded. If there are externalities, the free market is not going to see them. It's not going to care about them even if it saw them. In a free market, people are selfish, so they never act upon knowing that vaccines are good for other people, or knowing that the production of electricity might generate problems with climate change. Therefore, the free market is just always going to produce the wrong quantity, and then the government could try and step in to say, no, you can't pollute so much, that's, bad for climate change. Organic turkeys, index numbers, great. So we have turkeys that have increased in price until 2006, and then they fell in 2007, but they increased again. Did not rise throughout the whole period. It fell because it fell from 120 to 110. Price of organic turkeys was 20% cheaper in 2004. I reckon this is the answer, so I just know their tricks. If you want to work this out, you need to do the percentage change in your price index. Your new price index is 2004. I know it's backwards, but that's what they're saying. They're saying compared with the original 2008, kind of going backwards. What's the percentage change? So 100 minus 125, running out of space, divided by 125 times by 100. I think this gives you a minus 20%. That's the answer. It's tricky because you usually learn the percentage change equation is new minus old. That new value is what you're getting to now based on the question, not based on time. Hey, update. I got question 9 wrong and I got tricked. So what happened? I'm so used to year 13 microeconomics, learning about monopolies, that they maximize profits, and usually they raise prices when that happens. Sometimes though, they don't always raise prices if they maximize profits, because they can reinvest their profits in the hope of getting more profits with the better technology and the innovation. So sometimes maximizing profits does actually lead to lower prices over time, and it could even be more efficient. So I got tricked because there is an answer D, which I didn't see. I saw B and I said, yeah, definitely that's the one. And you know me, I don't tend to double check everything, but I should, because D was the answer, right? D was very clearly saying that it's very inefficient because the prices are higher and output is lower. So even though maximum profits could be achieved even though maximizing profits could lead to higher prices and lower output, sometimes it might actually lead to more efficiency as those profits are reinvested. So B is not as good as D, so therefore D is the answer. Demand curve for a good will shift left if there's less ability and willingness to demand something. Right, because at each price you want a reason to have less demand. Q1 turning to Q2. Not prices. Prices cause movements. If of the same good. If it's a complement, okay, that's different. If a complement gets more expensive, you can less afford the set. Right, the set becomes more expensive. That looks like the answer. You'll be buying both goods less because you can't buy one of them. Tennis balls, we have tennis balls shifting left because there should be higher costs of production for the firm, such as higher wages. Market failure. Which situations is the intervention not appropriate? Right, where is there a mismatch? I start with the easy ones. Public goods. The free market will never provide them, and the government should just provide them. So that is good, which means that's wrong. Demerit goods, like alcohol, too much is consumed. Yes. Maximum price controls. Look, this is bad. Okay, maximum price controls. Maximum prices do reduce quantity, which is good because you want less alcohol to be reduced, but it's not appropriate because you don't want alcohol to get cheaper, because then not everybody, lots of people will go out and try and buy alcohol, in which case you just don't want that to be part of what you're trying to do the opposite. So the answer, I don't think, is C, even though it's kind of right in the sense it would reduce quantity sold. negative externality in the production, it says. So they haven't told us the full graph. A negative production graph looks like this, where your MSC is here and your MPC is there. I actually don't know which one. Okay, I'm assuming the current supply curve is the MPC, because I'm assuming that the actual supply is the one that the firm has done, and the idea is that the firm will always produce according to how it costs them to make. They won't produce anything different. To reduce consumption to OQ2, taxes, that kind of thing, minimum prices, price ceiling, this is a maximum price, and that should always be below the below P1, and so that's just wrong. Tax of P2, P3, yeah, this is the answer. If you tax P2, P3, it's hard to see what that means, but it means that all of this much would be tax. What that would do is that would shift. You can imagine that same height, this height, that's a tax. So that's going to shift your supply curve up by that exact amount. If that happens, your new equilibrium will be where this meets this, which if I did this drawing by T, would equal Q2. So that's the answer. The government wants to reduce the amount of air pollution. What could do that? So I don't want to subsidize unless it's fuel efficient cars, right? Because you want people to substitute to things that don't create as much air pollution. Subsidize not petrol and diesel. Increase new motorway building. That will mean more cars and more pollution, especially when you're building more car parks. Tax the purchase of cars which are less fuel efficient, and then subsidize. Okay, that sounds sensible, right? That will reduce overall the quantity of pollution produced each year. I mean, I don't think it will actually reduce pollution. Oh yes, it will reduce pollution, right? Because you're still polluting, but you're polluting less than before. Choice is a necessary part of the economic problem, right? Because we have limited resources. So if we don't make good choices, then we will run out of resources, having like a really terrible outcome. So not because I was gonna choose resources, but no, resources are not infinite. That's just totally wrong. Wants are finite. That is just wrong. Economic decisions involvement, that's it, right? The idea is your raw materials could have many uses, and we've got to just be very careful to pick the right kinds of uses that will make everybody better off as possible. There's a trade-off. Every time you choose to do something else hasn't been done in that time, and there's been an opportunity cost. 5th of England could be urbanized. I think everything is wrong aside from the first one. There is an opportunity cost. If you urbanize land, you will spoil the countryside. Land is an economic resource and it is not free. The private cost of urbanization is greater. No, there's a greater social cost because the countryside has been damaged. So there's been a negative production externality. And we're left with land being an economic resource. Yeah, because it says that it's been used to urbanize, it's been used to build stuff. UK steel production, there's been a reduction in demand. Okay, that was easy, reduction in demand. So we're looking at D1 to D2. So not A and not C. Cutting their, I feel there's a trick here, so I'm being slow. Cutting their production of steel containing goods due to tough global competition. Okay, there's just less demand for steel. Steel containing goods supply has decreased. Something else, so that's not in this graph. right? There's no change in supply. There's a change in supply of something else. So I reckon that's the trick. Which of the following is an example of government failure? Okay, the government intervenes and the welfare loss that was there originally gets worse. For example, producing American will cause a welfare loss. Try and illustrate why. So this is MSB, MPB, C equal MPC. This is the social optimum. Let's say, for whatever reason, Q2 was being produced. At Q2, even though this is a merit good, the cost of Q2 was that much. The benefit to society was this much. So overall, it's had more costs than benefits. Same with all the other quantities between here and here. All of these ones cost a lot more than they benefit to society, so have actually made society worse off, even though this is a good that's a merit good that could positively impact third parties. It hasn't impacted society on average anymore. So I think that is right. Nothing else. No. Value judgment, looking for an opinion. Something that cannot be tested, must vote. That is somebody's opinion based on their values and their beliefs about what must be done. 3 new runways. So they're increasing supply of runways. And the supply curve would, yeah, that's what they're building. New runways are increasing the supply of runways. Prices of 2, I guess this is XED, but I'll get caught out if I, nope, it's totally the right way around. Percentage change in quantity demanded over the percentage change in price. It's just like PED. The only difference is you just do one good and another good too. So it says the demand for Y and the price of X. The price of X is falling from 10 to 9. So the percentage change in the price of X is the new one, which is 9, minus the old one, which is 10, times that by 100. And then you get minus 10%. Uh-oh, and then we've got a table here. What's changed to the demand, demand of Y? The new one is 42, the old one is 30. Divide that by 30. I feel like I've made a mistake. Seems fine. Yeah. Equals 12 over 30 times by 100. Got my calculator. 12 over 30 is 0.4. Times by 100 is 40. So we're doing 40 divided by minus 10. Gives me a minus 4. Here we have a positive consumption externality. And the MEB is this bit here, by the way, and that's a positive number. Right now we're producing at OE. That makes sense because this is a free market. People are selfish. Farms produce according to what it costs them. Consumers consume according to what benefits them. There is likely to be, there's a market failure because the free market has only produced E, but what would have been best is if people had really cared about other people and paid the full cost and benefits, so produced at QSO. There is a misallocation of resources because there's not enough. There's not enough consumption in this market. There should have been QSO, and right now there's E. Diseconomies of scale are increases in long-run average costs as a firm expands. This is an example. Management problems. These are managerial diseconomies of scale. Economy has achieved productive efficiency if you're on your PPF And if you're on your PPF, you cannot produce any more of one good. If you try and produce more X and you're on your PPF, sorry, you're going to have to make less Y. We have a demand curve and price is increasing, output has fallen, and I'm guessing they haven't drawn a supply curve, but I think that's what they mean. The supply curve is going from S1 to S2, they're just being tricky. Therefore, what can shift supply to the left? Not subsidy, that's the other way around as I'd expect, because that would shift supply to the right and prices would fall. Shift of the demand curve, demand has not shifted. Okay, monopoly replacing competition, yeah. If a monopoly gets rid of a company, there is less supply in the market. Therefore, supply has shifted left, and that's caused that increase in price, as you can see there. Hopefully that was really useful to you, and you're also kind of getting a hang of these and enjoying these a little bit more. Take a look at the series below where you can do some more multiple choice practice. Else, I've got lots of other theory videos, and just let me know if any other interesting ones come to mind. Thank you very much. Bye.